Okay, this is the Kung Flow origin story, and if you haven't seen part one, you really should because it's important. So anyway, what happened is that I used this system to get really good at fire spinning, and then I got to have a really great job for a while being a professional fire performer. And it was awesome. Like, I got to travel the world with a troupe of acrobatically adventurous supermodels who were also the kindest, sweetest, bravest people I ever met. So that was great. And just in the wide realm of getting you excited about being a teacher performer, I was getting about $1,500 a show there at the end. And that was cool to be making that much, for a 15-minute show. But then one day I answered a random Craigslist ad, a dual diagnosis drug rehab for high-risk teens in Malibu wanted someone to come out and just teach the kids how to spin, just as a one-off, as an exercise for the kids who didn't want a sports ball. So, what the heck, I like random adventures. So I went out, and Osa, the clinical therapist there, was just this really awesome, super hottie burner chick. So I was like, all right, I'll do this. And I taught a class to the kids, and they liked it. And so they asked if I would come back, and I wasn't doing anything, so sure. So I started teaching once a week out there, and it was really cool. But then one day, this girl, Kate, comes up to me, and she says, hey, did you know that Kung Flow's physical performance enhancers can be used on the addiction recovery process? No, hadn't thought about it. She goes, here's what I'm doing. And so she explained these techniques to me that she was applying to the cognitive process. And here's her story. Yeah, so that's what's possible here. Like, it's amazing. She's valedictorian now. Like, I remember holding her hair. It was one of those kind of addictions. So, by the way, Kate, thank you so much for anchoring that. I so appreciate you. Okay, so back to the story. So, that was fascinating for me because I love helping people. And we were figuring out all of these really interesting things about how the brain worked and how we could use a lightsaber to hack the neurological functions. And we actually had so much success getting the other kids off drugs that the owners of this $30,000 a month dual diagnosis clinic asked me to come on as the full-time rec therapist. Keep in mind, I don't have any training, I don't have any degrees, I don't have any certs. My cumulative GPA in college was 2.7, and you've probably heard the joke before, but by 2.7, I don't mean that was my average, I mean that was the sum total of all the classes I passed. Yeah, I had a learning disorder, it's called football. So, anyway, I was faced with this decision. There's two paths to go on. Do I want to go down the being a $1,500 a show flaming rock star and traveling the world path? Or do I want to give that up and be a $15 an hour counselor for these kids? The funny thing was, no contest. I was so that life was cool, but it only served my ego, and helping the kids fed my soul. I felt like I was finally a part of something that mattered, like something truly noble and worthwhile. And so I quit the fire job and took the full-time job as the rec therapist, and every day of the next 2 years became this rolling laboratory where the kids and I would figure out how to use Kung Flow to elevate our games. And that went really, really well. Lots of kids beat heavy drugs with lightsabers. And so I've dedicated my entire life to studying this art because at the core of it, it's just a really solid life skills course that's smart enough to use a lightsaber as the teaching tool because lots of people love lightsabers. And so you can sneak in a bunch of really important life lessons in the learning process. But I don't want to soft pedal too much here because when you add in the personal computer as a cognitive model for the mind, this is just incredibly beneficial for the people in recovery mode. And for those of you who have PTSD or a loved one with PTSD, this is great for PTSD. And I know it works on PTSD because I was the poster child for PTSD for most of my life. And I'm completely over that now. So I want to invite you to explore this, not just as a fun tricking experience or as a fitness, but as a mental fitness, as a way to upgrade the operating system of your brain. And I assure you that's possible. So, if you'd like to hear more about my story, stick around for part 3.